Let us put all of the parts together and let us insist. Yes, we want it to go to a judge, but right now, in the present form, in the current form that this legislation is now heading to the Senate, they don't have to go to a judge. They do not have to go to a judge. It is as clear as day. Ms. Weeks, I'm so concerned about this. It has kept me up a couple of nights. And the reason I'm here, as I said, is not because of any importance I hold myself. It is because I believe that we have gone into a space and time in Barbados where people are not speaking out, where we have come to a place where we just believe what the government tells us and we don't question anything. And my appeal to your listeners is that we now have to start to question. We now have to start to get answers and be happy that the government actually answers our questions. And that's the only reason I'm here tonight. I'll take one more clip from the Attorney General before we take questions. It's 9 o'clock. Just permit me to take one more clip.
Go right ahead.
One more clip.
This, Mr. Speaker. What is important to note from this, Mr. Speaker, is that we are providing in the statute for monitoring obligations. Remember I said to you, Mr. Speaker, at the outset that this has been going on for decades. But there was no monitoring. There was no permission to be sought. There were no requirements that had to be met. Now, when we employ this tactical measure, interception of communications, you have a duty to report to the judge on what progress you've made and what is going on with the carrying out of the search of the warrant. And when it is completed, sir, you have to submit a final report to the judge. So in every instance where this kind of warrant is issued, you have to submit a report to the judge. When that report is submitted, it is also submitted to an independent monitoring commission, independent monitoring authority.
So, I mentioned to your listeners on Friday that the two major guardrails within this legislation is first the judiciary, and we have established that the judiciary should be in place in every instance when they want to do wiretapping, which they don't know. 52B bypasses the judiciary.
Bypasses that, yeah.
And we also spoke about the Independent Monitoring Commission. The Attorney General, in that short clip, pointed out that this backstop, this final guardrail, is working well because in every instance that a warrant is issued, the judge can, in his discretion, ask for progress reports, but that they also, as you can see on your screen, must be a final report that comes back to the judge. And the Attorney General was absolutely correct when he said that final report is also sent to the Monitoring Commission. So any authorized officer, both the Commissioner of Police and the Director General of the Anti-Corruption Agency, if they have gone to the judiciary and they have received a warrant, they, in some instances, would need a progress report. A progress report is at the discretion of the judge, but the final report is mandatory, and that final report must go to the commission. But here's the curious part that has been left out. And we have to marry the two things. This reporting infrastructure in the bill is set up for if you have gone to the judge and gotten a warrant. Remember, if you have gone to the judge and you've gotten a warrant, this reporting infrastructure works. But if 52B is operative and you have not gone to the judge and you have not gotten a warrant, this reporting infrastructure to the judiciary and passed on to the independent commission does not work because it goes to the judge first and then it goes to the independent commissioner. So for the wire interceptions, the communication interceptions that are effected without a warrant, they don't get to the commission, they don't get to the independent monitoring commission unless, and you can go now, your producer can go to page 36. And I mentioned this on Friday, so I want to bring this back home and then we move to questions from your audience. On page 36, and you can scroll down to where you see annual report. So let's just bring it home. If you go, and this is what the Attorney General said, if you go and you get a warrant, and this is to assure the public that we have put the guardrails in place, but you've not told us everything. So those guardrails that you are bragging about, are they actually functioning? If you go and get a warrant, the judge can implement progress reports. He doesn't always have to, but he can. And the final report is mandatory, such that the progress reports and the final reports go to the Independent Monitoring Commission. If you have not gotten a warrant, though, the only report that the Independent Monitoring Commission can receive is the annual report. But I want you to notice and zero in, Ms. Weeks, and I want your producer to highlight it with his cursor, and I want your viewers to see. The Commissioner of Police shall send the annual report. The Commissioner of Police. Which means that any wiretapping or interception of communication that the Commissioner of Police has done goes to the Independent Monitoring Commission. But curious thing, the Director General is not part of the annual report. So if the Director General exercises the power that he has under 5.2b, there is no report or record that goes to the Independent Monitoring Commission of his activities. It is a curious thing that all along within the legislation, these two men, these two functionaries were joined at the hip as the authorized officers. And when it came to the annual report, that then you can only find the extrajudicial activity, this annual report that comes from the Commissioner of Police, the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism Agency has been omitted. But yet the Attorney General stands in the House of Assembly and assures us that you have nothing to worry about. All of the guardrails are in place and everything is okay.
Wow. I remember you saying that only one of them report. And the funny thing is that the Director General is a political appointee, isn't he?
That is correct. Yes, he
is. And that is the one that does not report.
That is the one that does not report. So
I remember that. This is so misleading. Listen, they stood up there. I'm not saying this person is a liar. On this occasion, I am saying, not Mr. Greenridge, I am saying on this occasion, lies were told to us. Lies. You can tell a lie by omitting. You could tell a lie by omitting things. You know, remember as a child, your parents ask you, did you do this? Did you do that? Right? And you said, did you do your homework? Yes, I did my homework. But you know, you didn't do the math. You only did English. Well, you're supposed to do math and English, and you told your parents I finished my homework. But you only did English, you didn't do math. And what they would do, they would lash you for it the next morning when you go to school and teacher said you didn't do your homework. You get lashed, sir, because you lied. And I am saying, not the goodly lawyer here, I am saying, from listening to this as a layperson, somebody told us lies on Friday. But continue, sir.
I open your audience to questions. I hope that
you want them to call in. Before they call in, there was something that Mrs. Corbin pointed out to me, and I like to I like to address if we said anything that was not correct. And as you said today, it's moving parts because the bill itself is saying in terms of the independent monitoring team. Is it team or committee?
Commission.
I'm sorry. Commission. That it's the minister will appoint this and the minister appoint. But now it was said that later in the debate, the prime minister says now it would be the president. Do you have anything to say on that? It hasn't changed here because it is still in the bill that it is a minister, but now we're told it is now the president. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. Yes, the prime minister did indicate that consideration would be given to amending that section. And the attorney general in his presentation also alluded that there may be some amendments to that section as well. Presently, however, the bill that is still on the Parliament's website, that is heading to the Senate, still has the sections that we are referring to here within the bill, because I went and I checked this afternoon to see if it may have been updated. So based on what the Prime Minister said and based on what is heading to the Senate, we will have to kind of be in a holding pattern to see exactly what amendments were or are going to be made, and then we can opine on those amendments.
Yes.
But yes, it is my understanding that there were indications both from the Attorney General and from the Prime Minister that there might be an amendment to that particular section. I will give one caution, however, though.
Yes, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Do not be lured into a false sense of security where this proposed amendment is concerned. This bill has several challenges in the bill. And I don't want that there's a scenario where, because the Prime Minister appears to capitulate on one issue, that we feel, okay, fine, she's capitulated, and we just stop the fight. Task number one, if you choose to accept it, 5(2)(b) must come out of this piece of legislation. The Jamaica Act, as similar as it is, does not contain a similar provision as 5(2)(b). Trinidad does, Jamaica does not, and Guyana is neutral on it in that it does provide for a warrantless wiretapping, but under very narrow circumstances that are not as broad as what is in here. So I do not want us, often, politicians have a tendency to play the carrot and the stick game.
Yes.
So you dangle something in front of you and you get a little distracted. I want us to focus on what I think is the most egregious part of the bill, which is 5(2)(b). And there are a lot of issues that surrounding the independent commission that can also be addressed. So I will reserve further judgment on that until I see the actual amendments that are going to go into the bill. Yes.
Well, we're asking people to call in. Call in to 236-7000. 236-7000. Guys, go ahead. You can make a WhatsApp call, preferably WhatsApp call. And I think we will be able to accommodate you. While we are waiting on those calls to come through, people are asking, so what happens if, for example, this president was they were the government that Dame Sandra Mason was okay. We have a call coming. Let me just take the call. I'm sorry. Caller, good night. Good night.
Good night.
Yes.
Hi,
welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Yeah, go right ahead.
Yes. Good night, gentlemen. I forgot his name. Is it
Mr. Greenridge? Corey Greenridge.
Mr. Greenridge. Corey Greenridge. Good work thus far. What I want people to understand is some person in the chat is trying to more or less confuse the masses that language done by me has to be clear or unclear. I want people to understand that whether a person is academic or not, law is either from the realms of democracy or out of the raw bag, as the Caribbeans would say, of dictatorship origins. And whenever the dust is settled and the law that is proclaimed does not have what is called the spirit of the law, is not resonating as democratic, it will obviously be the opposite. It can be both. That said, I think what you must take into consideration is that democracy to dictatorship convergence in a country have sometimes a very expeditious, but it also has a push and pull mechanism of, because you would hear that she had mentioned that that term before. A lot of people took it for granted about push and pull mechanisms. And I would validate when I'm talking about push and pull mechanism. Push and pull mechanism simply is when a person, well, in her situation, over years of understanding the epistemological and the epigenetic makeup of how people think, how they think, and how you can manipulate them, whether it be organized merriment or in fear mongering. So I will summarize what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
In that what is going on in Barbados is essentially the manipulation of the naivety of the people, and that this austere way of trying to control and take advantage of privacy is just a manipulation of that. And until Bajans start to see beyond the veil that they are being taken advantage of or manipulated, people will still stay behind these political colors and stuff. I don't want to say much more. That's all I can say for now.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call. Any comment on that, Mr. Greenridge?
And I do want to remain generally out of the realm of the politics proper. Don't mind, the job of legislation is inherently in a political realm. So you can't really extricate yourself completely from the discussion of politics. The reason I'm doing that, however, because this primarily has to be an education exercise. It doesn't carry a color, because when those rights are going to be infringed, or when those when those communications are going to be intercepted, it's not going to have anything to do with the color.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter which color sits in the seat of government, one color can be the abuser today, and that same color could be the subject of abuse tomorrow or a year to come. So what I want to emphasize to the listeners, and you see, when you enter into the realm of politics, then people tend to retreat into their echo chambers and retreat into their core belief, I'm a B or I'm a D. And somehow the functioning of the ears change
because of what they have.
It sounds like you are attacking their color. My job, there will be, I promise the viewers, there will be plenty time for all of the colors to draw their swords and to attack each other.
But not now.
Today, it is about the citizens understanding that this is about fundamental rights. Rights not only for yourselves.
Yeah, hold your thought there. There's a caller there, and our mechanism doesn't allow me to turn off. So, caller, welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, a blessed good night to everyone.
Good night.
I have no degree in legal terms, but I do have a certain degree of common sense. Now, I am looking at the beginning of this whole act. It is called, when I open the page, it's called Objective and Reason. Now, I don't understand what a reason is. A reason is a cause for an explanation or justification for an action or event. So we are looking at the reason for this wiretapping. And honestly, I do not see crime prevention as one of the reasons for this wiretapping thing. It says this bill would, it would make provisions for the interception of communications. And I underline the last letter, communications. It did not say communication, communications. So to me, this is not only talking about written communication, but also verbal, because communication can be written or verbal. Mm-hmm. So to me, this bill is going way beyond what people might think it actually means. The acquisition and disclosure of data. This is going really far, relating to communications.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, as I said, I'm just having a degree of common sense when it comes to what this bill is actually saying. So I'm actually trying to figure out, because down at page 5, it says that this whole thing was enacted by the Parliament of Barbados in accordance with provisions of Section 49 of the Constitution as follows. Now, we are a republic, and as far as I know, we have not been given a republic constitution as yet. So, what constitution are we referring to in order to enact this bill? My question in summarizing is this: is this to legally protect the government from the people? That is my question.
Okay.
Is this bill to legally protect the government from the people? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, caller. Go ahead, Mr. Greenridge. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, certainly. So I'll start at the Constitution. Our Constitution still stands as the supreme law of the land. We did have a change into republicanism, and on the face of the Constitution, there were the necessary changes. For example, the most familiar one to everyone would be no longer having a governor general. Now you would have a president. So the Constitution itself is still operative. Can we have constitutional reform? Certainly. But the actual document is still very much alive and operative. When this bill refers to Section 49, the bill basically says that we understand, the bill is saying that we understand that there is going to be a derogation, as it says, or there's going to be a moving away from, or this bill allows the powers that be to restrict a right that is within the Constitution, and that is the right to privacy. So the bill in its upfront says this is not a derogation from the Constitution insofar as the purpose of the bill is in the national interest and is for the prevention of crime. And I just want to say the criticisms of the bill we do not criticize, necessarily from my perspective, the need for common sense legislation to fight crime. Wiretapping, or as it's colloquially termed, or the interception of communication, is a tool that is given to law enforcement for the fighting and the prevention of crime. And as I said on Friday, it is needed. I do think that we should have wiretapping legislation. But in so doing, you must have a piece of legislation that has all of the guardrails and then some, because it does restrict a right from the individual. And the Attorney General said it on the floor of the House on Friday. He says, it is clear that the rights of the individual must at some point in time give way to the rights of the many, the rights of the nation. And that is how our democratic society works. That is how our laws work. But in so doing, we cannot now have a bill that seeks to do that, which is a good intent, which is good purpose, and then create it in such a way that it allows, or it leaves a gaping loopholes that nefarious or bad actors, whether this year or the next, whether this administration or the next, have the opportunity to abuse that power. And that's why we're resisting this bill.
Yes. Thank you, sir. We have another caller. Caller, go right ahead. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hello. Good night, Marcia.
Can you hear it? Can you hear Mr. Greenridge?
Yes, I can.
Yes, go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear, sir.
Right. I have a question that I would like some guidance on. And Mr. Greenridge, thank you for taking your time to share with the citizens of Barbados on this important matter. In my estimation, Marcia, I know that you and your show would have done quite some work on what is the cyber crime bill.
Yes, sir.
And you have made sure that was brought to the attention. And to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what is the status with that bill at this point in time. Was it passed in the House?
No. It is still
in a stalled position.
It is in a stalled position because the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, what they said was that they were offering technical assistance to make the bill, follow the human rights law, basically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But thanks for your education in that regard.
And it wasn't
But
just a
Marcia,
show.
that
It wasn't
we are
just a show. It was
entering-
everybody. Yeah.
We are entering a very dangerous period with this present bill. Is, in my limited understanding, can I put it that this bill can be a forerunner or a tandem to that cybercrime bill? And here is why I think it is important that what Mr. Greenridge is saying about that 5B2
5.2b.
is 5B. It's 5B.
Yes, go ahead.
5.2b.
Yes, we
5.2b,
understand.
I think it is.
5.2b, yeah.
I wanted to find out who is an authorized officer. What is the description of an authorized officer? Because if we don't know who is an authorized officer, then isn't it possible that that individual can access your calls, your transmissions, whatever they are, electronically or otherwise, and by so doing, then proceed to get a warrant under the cybercrime bill and bring a matter against you in that regard? So should we not be looking at these two in tandem?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. And just listen. We're gonna turn off the call now, and then you just listen to the answer, okay? Just so that others can call. Thank you.
That's fine.
Yes.
If your producer can go to page 6.
Page 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Page 6, Dave. Thank you. I think he's getting that.
Sure. As that comes up, I'll answer the easier of the question from the caller. The
Yes.
authorized officer, and just want to remind everyone, and I want to bring it up on the screen so that
Yes.
I have evidence to what I'm speaking. The authorized officer is defined specifically in the bill as the Commissioner of Police and the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism Agency. Just those two functionaries.
Yes.
So can approach the court for a warrant, right? So you have there the authorized officer means the Commissioner of Police and the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism Agency. With respect to the two bills in tandem, I am not as researched on the cybercrime bill, but understand how legislation works. This legislation is operative within its own four walls, right? To the extent that what is permitted by this act is permitted by this act. The warrants that are required in 5.2a are required under this act. So there's not a warrant that you can, there's no kind of cross-pollination of the operations of the act per se. So our agitation specifically, I know the cybercrime bill has been stalled, but this one is on its way through to the Senate. And we need to make sure that we can do what we can to stall this one as well.
Yeah, and actually it's on Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday. I mean, today's Sunday. And to think, as Ms. McLean was saying, that it was in the Gazette on the 7th.
Yes.
And
it's moving very quickly. Yes, it's moving very quickly.
It's the 7th, and today's the 10th, guys. And you're going to tell me in 3 days from here, by the 13th, that it could be passed and become, on its way to become law.
Correct. And I would hope, I would hope that all of the senators, especially the independent senators, would do their research, do their homework, even if they're not listening to our show. Several of those independent senators, I think at least 2 of them are lawyers themselves. And I would hope that they would be diligent enough not to cast their vote without having looked carefully at all the implications. Because before the call, I was making the point that this is about generations to come. This is about our children. This is about our children's children. This is not about red shirts and yellow shirts. This is about us as a people preserving something that has become dear to us, preserving a way of life. And that is a way. Listen, I saw, before I came onto your show, I saw a social media influencer, as it were, if I can name him as that, trying to tell people how to avoid being wiretapped by putting their phones in foil paper. And it's scary because I'm trying to think of myself, do I have to walk around with a sheet of foil paper to wrap my phone in so that it can't access its information? And if that is where our society is about to descend into, then we have serious problems.